It's looking like we might be getting a little bit of rain. I can't complain because I love rain, but really don't want it right now. I'm gonna head up and start digging with the large excavator. Move a couple rock around for a while, and then we'll see what the rest of the day has planned. But that's what I'm gonna do this morning while I'm waiting for everyone. And I just want to run the large excavator, if I'm being completely honest. Okay, so what I'm doing here, get me out of the rain a little bit here, is I'm taking this machine. There's a nice rock vein right through here. I'm taking it, digging down, and kind of brushing it back and trying to get all these rock up. And then I'm taking all the rock and just slowly raking them toward the machine and kind of making a windrow like right here. We have a mess like this, and you just can't get in there with a skid steer, mini payloader, or the big payloader to get them picked. It's so mogly and stuff. The buckets don't stay flat. It don't work. We'll next just take that. After we get these all picked off, we'll take the chisel plow, run it through this a bunch of times, bring up a bunch more, but then I'll be able to be picked with the skid steer and the rock pickers and stuff.
How this happened, I have no idea. It was a really hot day this summer. Came out here, and it was already down like this. So we're gonna try and get it back up. After looking at it a little bit more, I think what we discovered is the only thing that holds this thing up is this little thing that goes into a groove up on top there. And when it was so hot, 110 degrees back here, the sun was reflecting off here and just superheating this up, made this softer, which made it loose enough to be able to fall out of the groove, and it fell down. So we're thinking we just got to take the piece off of there, slide it back onto this groove here, and then unroll this canvas, screw it back in up there, and then the motor should be able to wind this thing back up. We have it all reattached. Now just finishing getting the light up in there, and then roll it up and get it out of the tree.
Well, I came home to say goodbye to Marissa. She had to go to work. But I also wanted to get a little breakfast, and we need a grease gun. We really like to grease this thing at least once a day, because these giant pins would not be cheap if they get wore down, and as of now they're very tight, so we like to keep them that way. I mean, these are some big suckers. Okay, I got all of them that I can reach on the ground down here, but now I gotta get that guy that's way the heck up there, so I gotta readjust. That'll do. Greasing is probably one of the most annoying but also cheapest maintenance you can do. Now with a Milwaukee gun like this, it doesn't make it so bad. Well, I finished raking most of the rock with the excavator on this side of the field, so now I'm just kind of making the hole a little bigger. I know it ain't gonna be big enough, and I'm digging down to China. I want them suckers as deep as possible so I never have to see them again. I think I'm like 20 feet deep down there in the deepest point. It's kind of cool. The ground down there is extremely hard too. The big girl don't really want to rip through it.
We're out here now pushing some rocks. This is not the first day I've been out here. This is the second day I've been in this field. JT's over there in the Bobcat. Preston's over there in the big excavator digging a hole. Dad is over there in the big payloader carrying a rock pile into that old hole. Me and JT are out here pushing up rocks like you guys have seen in a previous video. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about this mini payloader we have. We used to have 2 skid steers like that, but we were looking at upgrading, looking at getting something different. We decided to try out one of these mini payloaders. So far from my experience, we're running this one compared to the skid steer. And the last time we were out here, kind of ran some tests, side-by-side comparisons on the exact same rock, pushing it with this versus the skid steer. What I've found is this cab is more comfortable to sit in. But when you're driving through this, you rock side to side way worse than you do in the skid steer. Skid steers, it's all solid. It doesn't have much side to side give unless you just bounce into a hole and then bounce back out. And when you're pushing rocks, this thing does not have tilting force, it seems like. For example, if I came up here into this rock here, I could get it underneath this rock, but then I couldn't get the cutting edge to tilt back out of the dirt and they just want to plow into the ground, and I'd be stuck. I couldn't push this. Whereas the skid steer has enough tilting power. It may not have enough lifting power to lift the rock, but I can at least get my bucket tilted up and have my ass end off the ground, front end, with a shit ton of weight on those two front tires, but cutting edge will be up so I can push it. I prefer running the skid steer. It is a little bit more rough, especially when you're pushing and you find a solid rock that's still in the ground. When the bucket hits it and just bounces you over it, that's really rough. You will not have that at all in this thing. But when I'm pushing, I feel like I am way more effective and faster and can move bigger rocks with that thing, but I will bounce around a little bit more in that one. But what this thing is really nice for is for working around the shop. If you need to lift something up to a certain height and then get out and work on it to attach it into place or something like that, you exit out the side of the machine. This thing has its place. It's better for snow. It pushes way more snow than the skid steer does, and it's more comfortable to ride around and do small things in. But when it comes to pushing these rocks out here in the rock field, I think Preston will disagree with me, but I prefer the skid steer. It works better, faster, feels more efficient to me. So I don't know, they both have their place. Looks like we might get some rain back there. I can hear the thunder.
Well, it started raining. We gotta run to the pickup over there. I don't know where this storm came from. Whew, she's thundering pretty good out here. I'm just crossing my fingers right now that it's not hailing. There's a few little stones coming down, but it's not bad yet. Oh, I don't like this. There's little stones down there. I don't know if you can see them. Come on, Beans, you made it this far. Hold on there just a little bit longer. Starting to clear up here. We're gonna head at that direction down the road. See what it's like down that way. Finally raise a crop in the last week before we can harvest. It says goodbye to a hailstorm. I have no words right now. This is sad. Very, very sad. It's not supposed to be snowing in September. Oh, so frustrating.
You've never ran the skid steer or mini payloader in the rocks like that. From the viewer's perspective, which one looks like it does better?
Skid steer.
Think the skid steer does a better job? What makes you think the skid steer does a better job out there?
Gets around better.
It's a little bit more rough to ride in, especially when you go over a solid rock, but it just seems more efficient.
Yep, skid steer.
Yep. I think we quit right on time. Look at that gutter! It's going full speed ahead. Ready? Yep. Ow, that's painful hail! Oh man, that's not what you want to see. Oh no! Well, it's a horrible idea, but I guess you only live once. We have a river in our yard! Look at this! There's an entire river flowing through the yard. Okay, I'm getting wet. I'm going back. Wow. Standing in the river, the water's basically to my ankles. Flowing there. Still raining, but hail let up. What we got? Some decent sized ones. And a lot of small ones.
I mean, that definitely hurt our fields. Oh my god, you can just see it shredded this field. Leaves all over on the ground now. Look at that, it's white down there. I'm standing in what was probably our best bean field. Now I don't know what it's gonna do. See that right there is what you don't want to see. Beans on the ground already. Right here's a nice green one on the ground. We had a bumper crop, what we on our farm could call a bumper crop. I don't even think this is the worst of it, sadly. I think the more west I go, the worse it was. I'm about 2 miles away from where I just last was. I am seeing some beans on the ground here. They're awfully ripe. Yeah, there's definitely some hail damage up here. I wonder which one of these right here it was. That guy right there popped open. See what'll happen at this late in the stage. Like, I won't really see a lot of beans on the ground, even though I am seeing a few. The hail will hit the pods and make them brittle, and then when they actually do finish drying out, before we get here to combine it, they just shatter and bust open. I'm seeing a little bit of damage here now, but more of the damage is gonna come in the future, is what I'm saying. I'm driving by a little bit of corn here too, but I don't think there's any point in checking that. This late in the season, that should be fine. I mean, what's it gonna do? Shred some leaves that are already brown and dying up because corn is ripe and mature. So I don't think we lost any yield in the corn, which is good. But the beans, some of them fields, it looks like it's gonna be close to 100% loss with how many beans are already that I can see on the ground. I start grabbing pods, they're just all cracked open. So in 7 days, it's gonna be a lot more. You could probably say quadruple what I'm seeing now on the ground is what we'll see on the ground in 7 days. Finally raised the best crop we've ever had. And one big white combine comes through and harvests it for us. Well, this is where I was parked when I was watching the fields get pulverized by hail. I'll walk in here, see how this looks now. These here on the end might be a little bit on the okay side. They're a little greener here. Yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot of beans on the ground as of yet, but it is pretty green here. It ain't horrible, but I was parked right here just watching the field get pulverized. I mean, it was coming down like crazy. Mud running with the Jeeps. You can just see how they're laying over. This field was a little bit greener, but it's still just pulverized it. It's gonna be hard to tell. This green spot might be okay, or it's really beautiful down here. Oh, he's sending it. Woo. Now we're about 5 miles away from the farm, where we got hit extremely bad. Taking a quick look at these beans, see how they look. I think we maybe got missed down here. Yeah, I'm not seeing any beans on the ground, which is good. I'm not seeing any pods that are busted open. If it got some hail, it wasn't horrible. We have climate field view that'll tell us if there's a detection of hail here, if we need to keep an eye on it. Dad went mud running with the Jeep here. God grief. Well, we were all out looking at the fields, worrying about the fields, whether or not they got destroyed or how bad they got destroyed. We didn't even think, how's the garden look? I don't know, can tomatoes take hail? Like, there's a bunch of little dings in this thing you can see. I don't know, can you bruise tomatoes? I guess we'll find out in a couple weeks here. I know tomatoes don't like getting rained on when they're ripening, so I can't imagine hail is much better. But for now, this one tastes delicious. Well, today's a good day. It turned into a bad one real quick. You can't do nothing about it. It is what it is. It's life. It's farming. But thanks for watching, guys.